You can, just, unstuck.
Well, that's true.
It's true.
We get into a fight with someone.
There's like, I can just go.
Well, I don't think we need them. I don't know what they cost.
It was an accident.
Well, maybe no, should we make a claim every once in a while?
Yeah, I would like to get a change. So.
Were you able to get into the board vacuum?
Yeah.
I can't do that for some reason.
I couldn't, couldn't remember my password. I had it written down.
Oh, yeah.
My password. That new step, we got Chris signing in on our things. I was
Do well.
yeah.
I started that, and then I got stuck.
I thought that was Spain.
I actually deleted it. That's the first thing you do today, stuff I'm not doing deleting it. So if you download that as a code, did you get that? Well, I delete file.
I emailed Corey and said, is it spam? And he said, no, it's not.
I love technology.
Are we on?
I don't know. It says we're live, but then when I look here. Yes, we are. Okay. Yes, Commissioners, your meeting is live.
There. Okay. Welcome to the August 7th meeting, of the Riley County Commission. Please stand and join.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See how far we get today. It locks everybody out. Any public comment? Commission.
Okay, well, Monday, post meeting, I had a meeting with Creek and Heather Ritchie, the health department to discuss, get an update on childcare licensing here in the area. Where there's lots of moving parts with obviously 4 other counties and then the state of KHE, but they're working on a plan moving forward and we'll be presenting that to us shortly. Monday afternoon, had my monthly meeting with the doctor. Didn't go all that well. There's going to be some changes being made here as we work our way through so working on that later. Tuesday evening, I attended the comprehensive plan community workshop at the science venue up in Winterville. Very well attended. It's larger than one here in town. There was many members throughout the entire county, wasn't just, the Winterville area. So I had some really in-depth conversations with members from the public, which I really enjoyed. And maybe the fact that I did most of the talking, so take that at face value. I don't know. So anyway, got a lot of input and stuff as we go to get this plan completed, and it's good that the community is paying attention and seems to be engaged in the process. I wanted to say thanks to Amanda, Bob from the planning department, and members of the Stantec team that were also there to pitch in. Yesterday afternoon, attended the Manhattan Military Luncheon at the Doubletree by Hilton. Guest speaker was Will Finn, and fellow county colleague with Muncie County Sheriff and Green veteran Eric Kirsch. Story was one of the servant leader that comes with not just service, but kind of humor and heart at the same time. Got what the adjective is, but got a really interesting social media page that he's been using. I've read some of his comments here a couple of times. Yeah. So, and gave a pretty inspiring speech yesterday, on the transition, transformation, truth, and, had, members of the Air Force ROCT, team from K-State, at a table, got a chance to talk to them. And, there were some members from a new staffing agency here called Quick Staff that was, there too, so had a chance to chat, just to catch up, a good networking session. And, found out too, we would be assigned to NACO's Community Economic and Workforce Development Subcommittee as a vice chair on the Economic Development Committee. So we'll be meeting, it's a separate meeting than the original meeting, so it's an extra meeting, but haven't figured out what that looks like just yet. But I'll be the vice chair on that. So, one last thing, I have a clarification sorts that need to be made from our June 12th meeting. That was the RHID meeting and vote that we had. Made some comments during that meeting that were personal capacity and maybe were taken a little bit out of context. So I just want to clarify that. Know that those were personal, not made on behalf of Lawrence Corporation or anything work related. So, after some consideration, I believe the information I provided regarding employee waging and housing affordability was maybe incomplete and maybe misleading and inaccurate. So just want to reflect that, just wanted to reflect that that wasn't company compensation data and wasn't verified. Made an assumption there that I probably shouldn't have made. So, just know that Florence has been a stable employer in these for 20 years and, want to ensure that comments don't reflect anything negatively on the company or anybody who's working there. Those were just personal in nature and reflective of my own opinion. So, and I do believe that, Florence, as well as many of the other companies here are, sincerely committed to supporting employees' financial well-being and offers a range of different pay and overtime opportunities. Great example of it's just me being able to just work part-time in a part-time capacity, but, all the benefits and everything still aligned with, current market benchmarks. It was not my intention to speak negatively about a corporation or make comments that push that direction or would lead anybody to think that direction. So wanted the opportunity to clarify that. I thought I could be accountable and transparent. I expect that of everybody else. So, not only an initiative, expect that out of myself too. So, just wanted to make that clarification. I know it's been 6 weeks or so now, and that was a pretty contentious meeting to say the least. But, didn't really think what I was saying there through, accurately. So, still think that we got a lot of work to do in terms of housing, just area housing in general, just for the region, but comments that were made weren't reflected the anything work related. That was just the first one. Just wanted to clarify that. That's all I've got to say.
Okay. Well, let's see, Monday afternoon, I had a PT session. There was some new home exercise added. So it seems like all I'm doing while I'm home is exercising and walking the dog. So it's okay. It's getting better. So Tuesday, I worked on home computer, getting Civic Clerk installed. It'll be interesting to see how it goes when it goes live to the public today. So there are things that have happened that I'm not happy with, but I'm really a guru on the internet and that stuff, On Tuesday afternoon, I attended the worship committee at the church where we planned for the following month services. We do that every month. So we've got some new people coming in as far as choir and other kinds of things. Wednesday, I attended the Military Relations Committee meeting at the Doubletree Hotel. Dunford was there too. So the guest speaker was just elected last year, took office just this year. And I was right up in front, so it was interesting seeing back and forth and all the pictures. You could see the pictures better on the computer screen. But he had a lot of pictures from his deployments. I think he said he'd had 5 deployments, 5 or 6, a lot. And his presentation was really interesting and entertaining. He was very forthcoming about his personal life and the effects of all those deployments on his life. So it was really good. Upcoming events and activities were announced with a lot of happenings upcoming in the community in Fort Wayne. Here is Apple Day is coming up too. So don't forget to reserve your pies because you can put them in the freezer and they last till Thanksgiving and Christmas.
That's not the way to see my house.
I have to freeze them or I'll eat them.
That's me, they don't make it to the freezer that you need.
That afternoon, I opened and worked on the new civic clerk program of a board meeting, reviewing the agenda and documents. Actually, it worked better on my home computer than it was here. It's kind of strange. I did have several questions on the job description of the assistant county counsel. And I did give him a call and we talked about it. So later did my PT exercises plus the exercise bike. In the middle of all of this, my dog was very sick, so I had to take care of him, make him some special food, and I don't know what it was, some stomach thing. That's all I have.
All right, well, Monday after our meeting, I met with the Aggieville Director, Dennis Cook. He called me out to have a meeting. We had a long talk about a lot of stuff going on in Aggieville and relating to the rest of the city. And then he also had some questions about parcel BD since I was on the law board. I think we got things, settled, cleared up. Everybody's views on stuff.
So,
And then later, and then I talked to Michael Bowler at Oxus, or we got some stuff that has come up, just clarifying some questions with him. Tuesday was the budget and finance workshop for the Adibus, and went over the plans for the future and how the budget numbers were put together, how they arrived at things. And then we meet later this month to approve the final budget. Then, and also, and I mentioned our 50th wedding anniversary on Monday. I forgot to mention that's not unusual. My parents had 68 years. My dad's parents were 57. Mom's sister had 69 years anniversary. Her brother's 57 years, but he's still going. And mom's parents had 73 years. So we're still learning. Okay. Got a lot of expectations. How long do you put up with that or not?
I was thinking that, but I was.
It's not my fault, it's hers. All right, that's all I've got.
Okay, Commissioners, first item we have, any personnel action plan, Michaela Chambers, an intern, Health Department, Separation of Service, Grace Martin, legal intern, Attorney Department, Separation of Service, all three, please sign. Commissioner, have any thoughts? You interviewed one motion? Do you have a topic, Vivian?
Yeah. Russell Stuckey.
Russell, okay.
Chance to talk about fall burn season. I'm also hoping that somebody from Kansas Forestry talk about wildfire in the state.
Good. Everyone wants to attend?
Yeah, sure do.
I'm sorry, what is that? Yeah.
What date is that? Yeah.
Monday.
This coming Monday, the 11th?
No, it's not. Oh, there's Monday.
Okay.
Any question to approve payroll accounts payable?
So moved.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the payroll accounts payables. All in favor? Aye.
Any changes to the minutes, commissioners?
No. That's not on here anymore, is it?
Mhm.
Is that in here? Is that in here anywhere? I mean, I looked.
I can't even get that site up online, Commissioner, so I can't tell you, I'm down to one screen right now, so we figured out how to do dual screen. So I can't tell you. I wish I could.
Because it says no attached file.
Do we have anything to sign for payroll?
Yes, sorry.
Oh. Maybe that's part of
No, you should be doing it, figure out my next move, I'm trust you. So, that's my fault.
I thought, oh, yeah, we don't sign anything.
Well, mine says activate Windows. It's in Windows.
I didn't say a word.
The draft minutes. Or we're discussing that, your draft minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I have nothing.
Yeah, and on the public side, it should be through the board portal, but the board portal account is not a thing.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
Who tried that?
Yeah. It's in the notes.
Do we want to hold off on that one until we get a chance to see them? And just approve them on Monday? Yes.
And, and it's not really an approval one, it's just a review of them, but, in the interim, until we're sure we get that figured out, just put, copies in my packet for the board. I think that's what I'm bringing today, but I have, hard copy of it. Thank you.
Well, tentative agendas are, I can see you're on.
Oh, okay, what's going on?
The minutes.
Oh, the minutes, oh, sorry. Yeah, we definitely should wait.
Okay.
That's what I, sure, see, yeah.
I don't even like to have my.
James, I see, you know, right? That's it, home and I'll use the.
Let's put it in the minutes, see if they read it. See if they read it.
This doesn't have anything but presentations. This is the public side.
Yeah. Staff's working on the post. Apologize for that. Tentative, okay, any items next expressed on?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Next, Commissioner would have.
But here are some tentative agenda. This is sure we, it stays on.
Should.
Oh, okay.
No, is it?
It's, yeah, that's.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Parliament yesterday. That's how we did.
Oh, shoot.
Hi, how you doing?
Consider having this one.
I'm looking too hot, man.
Yeah, but we've had a nice break.
Yeah, we got that couple of tricks. I think we got another little one, not 80, so I'll take that.
Yeah, it's like after today and tomorrow, it's 50% stay.
That really would be pretty well. Good.
How does it log?
And then into that, maybe get spring.
I just didn't see this trigger dates in September. Particularly on Saturdays in September.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah.
They're not getting like vision.
I get it.
So, good. They're working microwave in the kitchen area over there, but
There's full of chairs, so I don't know if it works. There isn't one in the back. There's a sink in off my office, but there's no microwave. Maybe we ought to get one. Mhm.
One back here, but it's not. Not working.
Hmm. I think there's a lot of microwaves. Is this the one from?
Here. Well, no, that's one that's in my house.
Oh,
Oh, you really? Yeah.
yeah.
Rick's brother, he's got size. Is a big solution.
Was the commissioner?
Yeah.
I've been odd news, he bring and good first when she was clean.
Stay ready, yeah. Especially around that.
Or if you really want to have fun, just go follow the one share at Walmart. Just do, yeah, make some TikTok videos. You know? I hope that's the stampede case. I always heard that.
Then in Walmart, supplies. Made for an interesting crowd.
No. Had that thing for 20 years too. Yeah, that's all I got. Didn't say use it specifically for 20 years.
No, those roundabouts, they had some pictures. They only, I think it's. Yep. Well, we'll see how it's going. Going.
Is it?
Yeah.
I have yet to do this one. Yeah, at least it's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be done in spring. Because literally. Fascinating.
That's exactly what. So that's what it looked like. Oh, but at the end of the dam, they had concrete.
Yeah, I couldn't, when I was just looking at the pictures on my, I couldn't grab which one was which. Yeah, that's the outside, I mean, yeah. And I've seen them do that differently. You tend to be able to start from the interior and work the way out.
Great dog.
I went Monday. But I can start back where I left off and get home. Monday, and I still feel like my legs today. Got them 14 today, I almost couldn't walk there. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, the arms, I tend to feel that tomorrow. Yeah. So where do you get the? It's a part of the yeah, that's so important. All right.
These nephews talk about running. Actually, we said it feels good to get up. I mean. Wow, really good. Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, I used to feel that way. But
A mile, maybe 2 miles, anything after that is. I don't know. Unless you're doing like a marathon, training for that. Just. Running safe and.
when I was in Topeka, I was on a big shop, which was about 6.5 miles. And I was, obviously, I would, make that, but it was nice people. Most of the time.
Radio show I was listening to the other day, they were talking about running and how people say, you know, you get to a certain point and then look like euphoria, it's great. And they say, if it does feel so great, what's the best feeling always when you stop?
You share.
I've been doing pretty good on my at-home recumbent bicep, 5-6 miles.
They've got a new stair step machine
Yeah,
that imitates stairs and. He said, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's somewhere in his mid-80s or something, says he can get on there and go for like 20 minutes, which is about the equivalent of a 50-story building.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's really something to aim for.
so
But
good.
you know, you think about it. You know, like on September 11th, you know, the firemen trying to go up 100 stories with, 100 pounds of
I
equipment.
was just gonna say all the year.
So it can be done, for sure.
Of course, there was a lot of adrenaline in that. When we were first.
Why not? Good kind of, obviously.
September 11th, they had revenue in Kansas City, maybe, or they had a giveaway, running the stairs, clear to the top.
Yeah, yeah.
Son did that. How do you look at these?
There, so it's there, so you're in one constant motion, whereas on September 11th, the staircases are spiral, so I mean, it's not quite the same as. Plus, the people, coming down, you're trying to go up. Quite chaotic. Was somebody trying to?
That's Elizabeth.
Oh,
Oh, we have a choice whether they better.
I'm gonna take a vote on that.
Yeah.
You did, you tell me.
You make a motion?
Now we won't be able to see anything else.
Yeah, I don't see her there anymore.
You disappeared?
She did.
Maybe she heard you sing.
Yeah, never mind, I'm busy.
There we go.
Now, look what it's done to the screen though.
No, wait. There it is.
Okay. Hi, Elizabeth. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Where is she? Where are you, Elizabeth?
So I'm on my way to employment.
Can't hear, can't hear us.
She's at an apprentice,
I don't know.
an apprentice seminar, different stuff.
Yeah, It's in Emporia. It's a registered apprenticeship.
EMS.
Okay, try again for me, Elizabeth.
Sorry about that. I'm in Emporia.
Switching speakers until we get there.
Good morning.
Oh, that first one, maybe? Right?
Good morning.
Your volume's
Good
up.
morning. Good morning.
Device.
Good morning.
We never know.
Morning, good morning.
Technology is great, it works.
Morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good
Okay, try
morning.
again.
Good
There we
morning.
go.
Good morning.
No, that's us.
Good
No,
morning.
no.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning,
No. Okay,
Good morning.
still trying.
good morning. Good morning,
Mm,
good morning, good morning,
Be mute.
good morning,
No,
good morning, good morning, good morning.
No.
Good morning. Good morning,
well, that's me. Yeah.
good morning. Good morning, morning. Good morning, good morning. Morning. Good morning.
We can't hear.
She's still, I have asked her to keep talking.
Good morning, good morning.
Wind dries stuff up. That's
Good
the
morning.
wind, the wind. It's kind of worse, 'cause it's getting dry everything.
Keep
morning.
talking, my friend.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
You hear now?
Okay, so that they can hear her and hear Elizabeth talking.
Okay.
Whatever.
That helps. That really helps.
I knew we know. I can hear. It's up to you too.
Well. I don't.
Morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
Just tell her she's gonna have to trust me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. All right, good morning, Commissioners. Michelle Reed, Human Resource Manager. I'm here to do the August update for Human Resources. As we like to remind people, Riley County Human Resources is about people, policy, and process. So our recruiting and retention for the month of July shows our current regular employees at 294 and our election interns and volunteer firefighters at 339. We had 4 new hires of regular and 5 of stipend. So our current numbers for the year are 33 and 30. We had 3 separations in July of regular employees, bringing our total to 22 for the year. The turnover rate is 14.3%, and that's with anyone who retired. We did have a person retire last month, but that does not include that. And our average tenure is 9.55 years. And again, that's for our regular part-time and full-time employees, so not as our as-needed or temporary. We had 5 current openings when this was produced, but we have made an offer and was accepted for the IT position. So we now only have the 4. The performance and development, currently we have 2 people enrolled in the NACO High Performing Leaders, and that's from September 5th through October 10th. Elizabeth's working with the department heads on the Highly Effective Managers Program. That starts in October and goes for 12 months. So they're discussing about sending the 12 participants that we got the special cost for. I have been working with the department heads on behalf of the onboarding committee to work on phase 2 of our program. And we have developed a new hire navigator and a 30, 60, 90-day check-in with our new employees. I'll further discuss it with the department heads by the end of the month and hopefully sometime beginning of next month, bring that to you all to look at and review. For performance and development, Elizabeth attended the National SHRM Conference, and both her and I attended the SHRM 2025 Kansas Legislative Updates. For our deliverables, Elizabeth has worked with the department heads on updating the travel and study policy. That's still an ongoing thing with the department heads, and I got to sit in on that, and that's been fun. We are also implementing a clerical and admin skill testing for candidates in certain positions. Barry is actually going to be the first one to test this out for his legal secretary position. And then we have department heads like Anna looking at it to implement it in her department in the future so that when a new hire applies, they'll have to go through an assessment test in addition with their interviewing before they are hired. And then HR has worked with Public Works and Community Correction on creating and implementing vendor agreements and coordinating background checks, IDs, and training for every single contractor employee who has been accessing the CPE building for the remodel process. So our numbers actively recruited for 8 open positions. We had over 9,000 people visit our site through the different job posting platforms. We had 188 people apply, and of those we hired 4 new employees. Elizabeth threw this in here is just kind of an interesting fact. You can see the different generations, and you can see that from like 2023 to 2025, there's actually just been a steady number of an employment with the different generations. So you haven't seen much of an increase of any of the millennials entering our workforce or any particular generation. It's just pretty much stayed steady for the past couple of years.
Before 23, then it's 603, and I said this earlier was included that election fire. But
it probably did include some of the part-timers. It looks like the other ones are full-time staff, yes. So our HR by the numbers, our average time to fill in July was 24 days. And really that's pretty good because that's from opening the position, interviewing a candidate, having them do the preconditional requirements that we have to do, like the background check and drug screen, the employee giving a 2-week notice, and them actually starting their first day. So that's been a really good number to work with. Again, we had the 188 applicants. We had 17 interviews. We did 6 onboarding, and we did 21 hours of employee relations and 12 compliance events, 4 performance actions, and we updated 9 position descriptions. Our current projects are the CDL driver development, again, working on the travel and study pay policy. We are shifting all of our files in HR to electronic, so that will include like workers' comp, FMLA, employee files, confidential files, all that type of stuff. Kimberly has been working on transferring all the old fire personnel records that emergency management had in their office. We're working on transferring that all to electronic files. It's the time of year where we're getting ready to do annual performance reviews, so we're working on updates on those. And then, as always, we're working on retaining highly performing employees and implementing part of our onboarding program to do that. Does anyone have any questions?
guess more and more of this updating and travel and study policy and sounds rather thinking about what it's called. We don't get to hear anything about it until it's done.
They're working on it with the department heads currently, and then if I'm not mistaken, Rich, it'll come to you after it's worked on.
It's the same process. see the department heads bring it up, and we're on the department committee agreement. Recommendation to the board to consider this for you to review and adjust the final approval. It's like just like we brought the entire resource policy, work on it, and we say, this is what we'd like to present to the board, make the changes you want, adopt as is. Those are not even current agreement, department heads on, and that's why it's not even agreement with department heads until it's gotten past department head process. A lot of discussion on it. So it's the same process. It's been on for decades. The department heads have no authority to pass the policy without. Commissioners have final say on all policies.
And and HR works with them just to make sure everybody's on the same page. They agree on what they would like to see in the policy and then come to you and say, the department heads agree on this now for you for approval.
In modification. That would be done, and nothing is approved until you guys vote on it, it's final.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Follow this up at 9:15. There's coffee back there too. What's that coffee? Want to remind you, kind of outside that money. Okay. I have a lot to think about and probably this changes or there's a lot of discussion on the department head, so it'd be interesting. Second.
Be a lot different in the color of hair and shoes. We go down that way too.
Tattoos, that was available.
Shoes or something. Yeah, just get up and move around.
I want to, but I don't think I can. Yeah, I think we'll take a break today.
You need rest, your people should recover.
So much they're gonna accomplish, it's gonna take forever. Slow progress is good.
And you eat an elephant when you bite your tongue.
Yes. That was healthy. Yeah, it's high protein, I'm sure. I have to try it. Yeah.
That's probably illegal.
You know, what's a strange meat that's not illegal is kangaroo. And I've never tried it, but I have heard that I didn't see. Try it. One of those things. Really?
When you
Bear. Yeah.
I had this been got a bear.
Oh, really?
So I had bear meat for the first time 2 weeks ago. It's
Oh,
really
it's
good.
good.
They,
It's a
when
little.
you seasoned it, it was really good. I said,
It's
this is
interesting.
great.
Yeah, I really love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it similar?
I was surprised, not really.
I
Like the
kind
first time I tried deer, I was like, oh my god. Yeah.
it's kind of like roast beef. Hot rose,
It's
kind of that texture, yeah. I like it. I bet. It's everything chili, yeah, I mean, it's me. Yeah, it's me. Is he gonna have?
Yeah, he's
Okay,
having
so-
this whole, but it's a record here, so.
Yeah, that's really shoot.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it, probably, but not. Yeah. I think that's.
It is.
Yeah. We're at.
They came,
Oh,
very recommended the place.
you would?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's even better.
The admin too, and how,
How'd they get it back?
in cooler.
Okay.
And they,
They're probably did sign it until the 18th. Well, I meant, how do you get it back? That's.
there's.
Okay. That's probably. Good. Fine. Yes. Yeah, probably. There's all those signs, I don't know, the regulation of the house, issue that in the last day, but. You don't have to live in the country necessarily to do that.
All right. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Mike Bowler with the Riley County Noxious Weed Household Hazardous Waste Monthly Update. I've got lots of good news in this monthly update, and we'll get to them, but we'll start right off the bat with our second round of mowing is already complete. That's the first time that's happened, certainly since I've been here. That is a full month ahead of schedule. By way of comparison, last year we were 40% complete with our second round of mowing when I did my presentation. I should probably knock on wood that we haven't hit any flat tires, you know, that's helped us.
So you just.
I shouldn't even said that, but I just did. But the credit really goes to the staff. Our guys have just done a phenomenal job of getting out there, being efficient with their time and getting it knocked out. And I have this year received 3 to 4 compliments actually on the job that we've done mowing. And so usually it takes one person upset about not mowing it correctly, but it probably takes 40 of them to be happy about it before you get one to come in and say you've been doing a good job. So I'm very pleased that we have actually got some feedback that just tell that the roads are looking real good this year. So I'm very grateful for their efforts. And I'm also very grateful to the commission for having quality equipment. We've got all new, pretty much tractors, updated stuff. And so that speaks to our ability to get it done quickly. So I appreciate that. Maintaining lagoon ponds continues for the month of August. This year, we've not had the duckweed we've had in the past. I'm grateful for that. Both Deep Creek and Terra Heights lagoons were mowed out last month. And then we've also put, or I should say Public Works has put down fresh rock at the Terra Heights Lagoon. And me and my staff will be out there putting down ground sterilant. And then here moving forward, we'll need to be treating cattails in the lagoon pond, which requires me launching the lagoon boat. So if you'd like to experience a day in the life of the weed director, I would certainly, there's room for 2 in this boat. And if you don't think what you're paddling through, it can be a nice tranquil afternoon. So I would invite anybody that would like to come out and help with that to please let me know.
There's a very special people.
It is that time of year for treatment of Sericea lespedeza. Reminder, we do have an excellent.
3 times. Fast.
Yeah, 3 times real fast. We do have an excellent chemical for that that's relatively cheap, like less than $2 an acre to be able to treat Sericea. So just a reminder, it's that time of year to do that. In fact, after this meeting, I'm going to go meet with a landowner that has some surrounding landowners that need to be educated on Sericea lespedeza. So right after this meeting, I'll be going out to meet with them and hopefully getting some cooperation and getting that done. HHW collection at Howie's is Saturday, August 9th from 8 to noon. Again, we don't accept business waste or truckloads of waste at those facilities. And for further details on that, that's also up on our HHW website, but it's very easy to remember second Saturday of the month. We're always down at Howie's. We do have latex paint as always to give away at our facility. Looks like I went to change the times that we're open there, and I goofed a little bit and didn't put 5 p.m. in there, so that's changed.
That means you're open 24 hours.
Well, in some ways, we do have carts for drop off for 24 hours, so that would apply actually in some ways. Another piece of good news I got is the BALA cleanup and the soil analysis is complete. It's came back way under budget. We had budgeted for 13,244 and it came back at almost half that at 7,000. We're very happy to announce that the soil samples analysis did not come back with any water leaching issues or airborne concerns. I would greatly like to thank the commission for taking the time and spending the money and doing that. I think that is an excellent example of where we did the right thing. We made sure that we didn't have any problem or that ground did not need further soil mitigation. So thank you for that. Clean Harbors is not recommending any more further soil mitigation. We were able to make a profile on the barrels for incineration. I do have the chemical printout for that available to the commissioner if you would like to read it. It's fairly lengthy, but if you have any questions or concerns about that, I would make that available to you. I also would like to thank Manhattan MFD on that. We did utilize their hazmat unit to do some analysis on the barrels, which helped us greatly reduce our costs for the analysis through Clean Harbors, and we were able to build a profile on that for relatively, well, for nothing. So very grateful for that, and they deserve a lot of the credit for bringing down that cost on that. Then finally, I just came back yesterday from summer conference in Harvey County. Two things to let the commission know on that that will affect our community moving forward. Number one on that, and I have talked to the commissioners prior about Amur brush honeysuckle and the state wanting to make that a noxious weed. They announced that there was one weed director that whined enough that we moved it down from a Class B to a Class C, and that one weed director would be me. And the reason why I wanted to make it a Class C is because Class B requires communities to actively reduce infestations of Amur honeysuckle, where Class C simply requires us to contain it. If you're familiar with Amur honeysuckle, all linear trail in Manhattan is infested with it. Stag Hill is infested with it. And to really treat that and or remove it, honestly, you'd probably be looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. I do understand it's invasive. Some groups, to include the Audubon Society, I'm not tremendously popular with right now. Having said that, I have to walk the fine line between understanding what's invasive and then what reality is on how we can deal with it. So I'm happy to give further information moving forward on what that's going to mean for Riley County. Second issue that we discussed that is still somewhat unclear is the use and sale of glyphosate. Glyphosate has been restricted, but not by the EPA. The actual companies that sell it have done a voluntary restriction. How that affects us is we still sell glyphosate at the HHW facility for ag use. But it's not clear exactly how I am supposed to police that. But right now, the labels of the chemical we're selling, there is no restriction on the labels. And at the end of the day, the label is the law. But I will be keeping the commission updated on what we decide to do that moving forward. Suffice it to say, there needs to be some effort on my staff and me to police that and keep an eye on that. We may end up doing some further restrictions. I may end up needing to consult with Jacob of where we're going to stand and what we're going to do as far as even maybe selling glyphosate to move forward. Ironically, glyphosate is one of the improved chemicals to treat Amur honeysuckle. So there is that. But those are two big topics that came out of the meeting that I've been meeting with and actually just conversed with the state this morning about. So with that, I stand for any questions this morning on any of those topics.
So the stuff out of Mallow, it can be disposed of safely.
Yes, it will be incinerated. There were some elevated levels, one chemical in particular, boranium, which is the use in some of the manufacture of aluminum, that sort of thing. We do believe that there was some scrapping going on there, and it would be consistent with scrapping and the results of that. But suffice it to say, there were no what I would call exotic or forever chemicals in the ground, no leaching problems. And so.
It's stuff in the barrels also.
Well, the stuff in the barrels, yeah, the stuff within the barrels was heavily watered down. We could have chose, if we would have had somebody that had been acutely exposed to it, we could have got it down to a fine deal, but you were talking thousands of more dollars. They were basically mixed barrels that had a lot of different chemicals in them, heavily watered down. And our goal was really to meet a DOT federal guideline for profile for transportation. At the end of the day, they all go for incineration. And had we had a need to know exactly to the dot what chemical it was, we could have done that, but we're probably talking another $10,000 worth of analysis. And it just, for our purposes, wasn't warranted. But again, I can provide you those results if you would like to look those up.
What I was reading anyway, probably.
Yeah.
Good.
It needed to be dealt with appropriately, and I can assure everybody it is being dealt with appropriately. And we did not have any leaking from the barrels. So the chemical that was in the barrels will contain to the barrels, and those will be incinerated appropriately.
So will we be keeping an eye on future dumping possibilities?
Yeah, we've actually made some means in that headway. We've got fencing around that area, and I think I have personally met with the immediate property owners to express our concerns and moving forward, and I am confident that we have their cooperation. And not to specifically blame them, I'm certain there were others, but the message has been delivered very clearly that we won't be tolerating that moving forward, and I think that they're will be very compliant with that. So I don't foresee a problem moving forward at all, but good question. Anything else? Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Third versus with next 9:30.
Because that's just what we did. I need to get into a routine where it's like, with you late, once you got there, you got I didn't wait that, so it's all. Oh. Okay.
You have them back for one day.
No, mine's just, I kind of over, so that you know, I have that. Yeah.
Yeah, just figured we do it in the meeting. We do it whenever. Yes, no, there's one review yet.
Morning, Commissioners. Anna Bruce, the Appraiser's Office. I'm here to do our monthly staff update on the personal property and our appraisal support team. Our team continues preparing for the upcoming legislative change. As they pertain to personal property, we've had meetings with the Treasurer's Office and discussed process changes as they impact both of our departments and teams. Changes will begin on property that is acquired after September 1. September 1 and after, because that's that cutoff date for if it's acquired, if it goes on the tax roll for 2026. And so that was the discussion we've already had. Process changes to personal property records, processing those changes to personal property records as we're receiving them, managing our residential work files, annual review, sales and building permits. They're doing the review entry of the field appraiser's work to ensure complete and accurate data entry. On our ag side, we're working annual review. All of the inspections have been completed and we're working to get all of that data changed in Orion now. Again, verifying ag use is in process for those maps that weren't returned last year. And we're processing sales. There's roughly 26 sales involving ag land. All inspection of those sales has been completed. Updates are in the process, and there are 5 farm home sites that have sold to date. On the residential side of things, we have 572 residential sales to date. Median sale price is roughly $260,000 and an average sale price is $286,061. Currently, our sales ratio with unvalidated sales is 94%. We have begun sales validation on those 2025 sales. We're a little bit behind from where we typically are. Lots of training going on, so we're working to do what we can to get those caught up. There are 246 new permits for 2025 and 286 permit rechecks from 2024. Our residential team's roughly 67% on annual review for 2025 with a goal of having the remainder completed by the end of this month. There are 195 vacant lots due for annual review and 40 vacant lots that have sold. Our commercial team is working through annual review and preparing for our BOTA hearings. The BOTA hearing on Genesis occurred in July, and now we're just waiting for the results. The Walgreens case has again been continued. Commercial annual review is roughly 86% complete, and there are 18 commercial sales to date. Here is the updated BOTA spreadsheet. As you can see, there is significant reduction from prior. This is just a little weird trying to make it scroll. There we go. Okay. So this is the updated spreadsheet we did after this presentation was put together. We were notified Best Buy has dismissed for 2024. And so that's some more good news. So the total value in question is $118,194,860 compared to in 2022, that figure was $209,000 $98,525,630. And we have additional properties or additional tax years that have now been added. And so I would say that's a significant reduction. I have to commend my team for all the work that's gone into trying to get these cases wrapped up, which really kind of preludes into my next discussion on interest payments and outstanding appeals. We briefly touched on this topic, but essentially, I'm going to cover continuances, rescheduled hearings, the impact of the rescheduling, evidence submission, some case examples with Target and Manhattan Marketplace, and some recommendations as it pertains to legislation. So we've had some, again, preliminary discussions on the continuances in context of BOTA hearings. It's important to distinguish between continuance and rescheduled hearings. They're not one and the same. BOTA's frequently rescheduled hearings when additional tax years have been added to the appeal. So while this may be viewed as administrative convenience, it ultimately comes at a cost to our taxpayers. Although tax representatives do occasionally request continuances, the more common occurrence is BOTA unilaterally rescheduling the hearing when an additional tax year has been added, often due to those new tax years. Additionally, the current practice of allowing evidence submission for prior tax years up to 5 years later, later than the original valuation dispute, raises the most significant concern. There should be a stronger requirement for timely exchange of evidence. At present, all evidence must be exchanged at least 30 days prior to the hearing date. However, this rule allows for inclusion of evidence that did not exist as of the valuation date, but instead is created long after the original dispute arose. There should be requirements associated with the submission of a fee appraisal. As an example, the case of Target and Manhattan Marketplace. We had substantial supporting evidence for the county value, including fee appraisals to justify our valuation. Yet 5 years later, just before the scheduled hearing in 2025, the tax rep submitted to us for the first time fee appraisals involving the prior tax years. Those fee appraisals were not conducted until this year. Those appraisals, had the evidence been submitted in a more sufficient required time, more reasonable, there would have been a likely opportunity to reach more timely resolution, avoid prolonged litigation and additional interest accumulation that ultimately costs the taxpayers. Implementing a consistent and enforceable standard for the timely submission of evidence, particularly the fee appraisals, when a BOTA hearing has been requested, would help ensure fairer and more efficient resolution of valuation disputes. Specifically, fee appraisals should be required to be completed and submitted no later than 1 year from the valuation date. Example, for 2024 tax year with a valuation date of January 1, 2024, a fee appraisal should be submitted no later than January 1, 2025 for consideration. This standard would discourage the filing of appeals without supporting evidence and encourage timely resolution. Additionally, imposing reasonable limitations on BOTA reschedules or continuances for appeals that are already scheduled or have previously been rescheduled would help reduce unnecessary delays and minimize the accrual of interest over time. So the facts are right here. These are numbers. These are quantifiable numbers. Manhattan Marketplace. Now, we understand COVID is a big piece of this, but you can see that the original hearing scheduled for tax years 2021 and 22 was August 7th, 2023. In March, we were notified of a continuance and no date was given. In January of 24, we were notified the board added a tax year and a new hearing was now scheduled for 2025. On November 4th, 2024, we were notified again that it was continued and moved to June of 2025. And then, June of 2025. And then in May of 2025, we received the retrospective fee appraisal for 4 years of appeals. And this is the interest that occurred. So the value, the tax dollars is broken out and the interest is broken out. Same situation with Target, except for Target, it was 5 years worth of appeals. We had not received a fee appraisal on that, scheduled, rescheduled, continued, rescheduled. Again, the fee appraisal done in May of 2025. In effect for 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And so that interest adds up and it's at a cost to to the taxpayers. What's interesting is in a lot of cases, tax reps will take on appeals without even knowing if they have a leg to stand on, and they just wait and they just wait and they just wait until it's actually scheduled. Sometimes it'll get continued when another year gets added, and keep adding and adding and adding and adding. And it puts counties in a really tough spot and make sure you've got good evidence to support your value, because one of two things will happen. Either they'll submit something that we'll have to consider later, but they're earning interest as it gets continued and continued. And that's at a cost to our taxpayers, which Target is a really good example of this, because the value, when you're comparing fee appraisals, because we had a fee appraisal, they had a fee appraisal. So which one's better? It's an opinion of value. So we have to make a reasonable decision. Is this something that we should go all the way to the board for and let them decide? Don't always know where it's going to end up, or make reasonable appraiser judgment and see if we can't come to some agreement, get these off the books, which is what was done with both Manhattan Marketplace and Target. Now Walgreens is another one. Walgreens on that list still has 2020 outstanding. That is the only appeal we have left that has 2020, 2021, and 2022 and 2023, and now 4 and 5 all outstanding. It's been continued by the taxpayer. The Board of Tax Appeals reached out to us and said, here's a couple alternative dates because the first date didn't work for the tax rep. We said these dates work for us. The tax rep responded, don't work for us. Now we have no date scheduled. And so if this value gets reduced for any reason, if they submit new evidence or we go to the board and it gets reduced, they're going to earn interest on that. And so that is where something has to change. So ultimately, I have reached out to a couple other jurisdictions. I reached out to contacts I have in Johnson County and Douglas County, and they agree, because that's what these tax reps will do. They'll take on cases. I mean, we have one tax rep that took on an exempt appeal. Like, this property is exempt. What? They don't even realize that they have an appeal for an exempt property until later on. And they're like, oh, okay, so they dismiss it. And so that's the challenge that the different jurisdictions are up against, and it has an impact on the taxpayers. And it is why some of the jurisdictions, especially your larger ones, are kind of being forced to settle some of these just to get them off the books, because that interest from 2020, as you can see, is pretty significant. And so this is a problem. We all agree that it's a problem. We do agree there is potential that just a simple change in legislation requiring evidence submission sooner than just 30 days before that appeal and fee appraisal. So like right now, property owners, when they own, if they appealed their house, they can submit a fee appraisal within 60 days of the results, and they don't have to go to BOTA, but they can submit that and we would have to consider it. So on residential properties, you have 60 days, but on these commercial properties, if you filed a BOTA, you've got an unlimited amount of time until the hearing is scheduled. That's a problem. And so, which is why I'm bringing it to you. There was some discussions about trying to maybe get something before KAC. The people that I've spoke with said Jay Hall would be an excellent contact to try to see, is there something that we can do? It's a concern. It's at a cost to the taxpayers, especially when we receive nothing for years. And then 5 years later, we get those fee appraisals. I brought Steve with me just in case you had questions as it pertained to some of that. I'll wrap up what I have left and then answer any questions you might have. Pending real estate exemption applications to BOTA. No real changes here besides we did just finally get the Be Able application submitted yesterday. Final signatures, reviewing of the application. That one will likely become exempt. Other projects, budgets wrapped up in July, lots of training going on. I do have a lot of new staff, and so I am involved in all aspects of the residential training. with our retirement this year. Quality control is another big piece. Exemptions, that exemption is, there's a lot of work that goes into exemptions, not just receiving the applications, but also identifying properties that are no longer being used for exempt purposes. We do have a few properties going back on the tax roll because the use that it was granted exemption for no longer exists. And so in 2026, we're going to have some additional properties going back on. I've had discussions with the director of that child care accelerator, as there were questions relating to a property tax as it pertains to that particular property. Again, working through a couple other lists as it pertains to some properties that we've been notified or seen in the paper, some changes that have come about. So we're just trying to gather information and make some decisions as to, which ones will have to go back on the tax roll moving forward. Parcel search vendor, thank you for the support in approving that parcel search vendor project. We have our first implementation strategy meeting next week, and so we're excited to be able to have a more user-friendly product for our taxpayers and users of that parcel search. And then lastly, we were notified yesterday or the day before that we met substantial compliance for 2025. The way our compliance calendar works is it's June to June. And so substantial compliance is everything we do, we have to submit documentation to the Property Valuation Division. Additionally, all of the valuations we set are tested, and that's the statistical compliance portion of it, which makes up a big piece of that statutory substantial compliance. And so the statistical side of that is regarding the January 1, 2024 values and all the sales that came through last year. And all of that information that then was used to set the values for 2025 before we certified to the clerk in June. Now that we've certified, we begin our next process and we're working in tax year 2026. Everything that changes on a property this year, all of those sales that come through will be used in the values for January 1, 2026. And so I stand for any questions. It was a lot to give you today, but there's been a lot going on. And any questions on legislative stuff? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Is the state appraisers group been talking about going to KAC to try to get this change pushed to the appraisal group?
I don't think
Something.
the appraisal group at this time has come up with something. When I talked to the group that I talked to, I let them know that it sounded like we were here at Riley County going to try to reach out to KAC. The last I knew, conversations from Jacob and you guys, that was part of a possible avenue. If that's changed, I mean, let me know what your thoughts are.
I'll speak to that just a little bit, when clarify where we're at analysis with the KAC. So right now, I'm just compiling all ideas. I have the board, the ones that the board, exactly what you guys want to see, then I send it to Kings.
Sure.
So nothing been decided yet as so far as what we're actually going to send it.
Wanted to provide you more information as it pertains to this. Okay, thank you.
For Diane Creek.
Good morning, Commissioners. Diane Krieg, Health Department Director.
We need to make a motion.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right.
You move that we recess as the Board of County Commissioners and reconvene as the Board of County.
I would second that.
And moving and seconded recess of the Board of County Commissioners, convene as the Board of Health. All in favor?
Aye.
Now.
Diane Krieg, Health Department Director. I'm here to present the staffing that we're gonna do for the DEC program and the opioid program, since that's changing. So we got the DEC program, just historically, we got the DEC funding in 2023. And we hired a person part-time to do that work. It kind of, the background, I'm not gonna read all that to you. That's what the program is designed to do. It's designed to work specifically with drug endangered children. So that to try to identify them, try to develop coalitions and things like that to make sure that they're getting services. So the goals of the DEC program are to increase in awareness of, improve identification of, reduce stigma of, and respond to drug endangered children in Kansas. We're also supposed to strengthen state, local, and tribal capacity to identify drug endangered children in Kansas and increase collaboration at all levels, and to work with community partners, health systems, and payers to increase capacity, awareness, and response to drug endangered children and their families. The DEC grant funding was due to end on September 30th of 2025, but the state received a no-cost extension until September 30th of 2026. So our money is just going to carry over until September 30th of 26. We had a part-time person, Andrea was hired on January 8th of 24. Her employment ended on April 4th of 25. I met with Shanika Rose, the supervisor for DEC, and we decided that the DEC grant requirements could be fulfilled by Jenny Ebert, who's also in the opioid response work. She's doing that work as well. So she is 30 hours per week. That's going to stay that way. Jenny will be working 7.5 hours for the DEC, coming out of the DEC funding, and then 22.5 hours for the opioid funding. That schedule will continue until September 11th of 26. And at that point, due to the way the pay periods fall, the DEC money will end at that point. And she will be funded 22.5 hours out of the opioid response money, unless we can find other funding. And we're always looking for other funding. So, and it's out there. It's just a matter of finding it and applying for it. So the fiscal impact is that staff salary 7.5 hours per week will be funded by DEC, which will also take some of the pressure off of the opioid fund. And then the 22.5 hours per week will be taken out of our share of the opioid money. The recommendations, by combining the DEC and opioid response positions, we can save grant and opioid funding and provide consistent messaging to the county. And so the motion would be to approve the 25-26 staffing plan for the DEC and opioid response programs from two part-time staff to one part-time staff. Total staff hours for both programs will be 30 hours per week until September 11th, 2026. When the DEC funding ends, at that time, staff hours will decrease to 22.5 hours per week for the opioid response program unless other funding is obtained. So, and then there is job descriptions and a green sheet attached, I believe. So do you have any questions?
Not really. I make a motion to combine the DEC and opioid response positions and provide consistent messaging to the county through that. So,
Been moved and seconded to approve the 25-26 staffing plan for DEC and Oakwood response programs from 2 part-time to 1 part-time staff as outlined. All in favor?
All agree, please sign.
Thank you.
yeah, I would make a motion to recess as the Board of County Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to recess of County Board of Health and reconvene as Board of County Commissioners. All in favor?
And Commissioner Gilman with a 10.
That's not just the material. That's the biggest brush. Yeah. This is, that's just the years line. Here's another slide. That is all. I can say this is you guys. Because I like to say, here's your way down. You did, you beat some man from the prime residential. That's a little game. Yeah, I don't mean to tell you, no, I feel okay, it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's weird as we got that's another sense of supplement, so it's supposed to be coming today, it's not, you could be right. Yeah, I was saying, so it's like a Monday start that, you know, scared that. We should do it. Yeah, I mean, as I said, maybe it's the changes. We can't see, it's just goes from one to the other. Now it's the second. Just like that, and you so much more. I'm sure the things that you can see. Especially when we don't check that, sorry, you have 5 those. And they get that, and it was, I can fix the deal. That's the thing, I can see everything happens, like, I know she, and it's just treating all the best feelings, segregation, the town, so she do, you know, this. No, I really is, it's easier to. And Tracy goes, wait, I absolutely 5. It's not you get it at like mid-afternoon. It's usually pretty calm, but they got those little sick boys, you know, so it's not cheap. I have that stuff at home, I don't need to use it. Exactly. I need to get on my good thing, absolutely. It should do something. Yeah, Jason, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we will work at city, it's very so mental. They do, just even out here, we kind of see very close. See, absolutely, so, oh, yeah, I think that feels again, guys, and then, but, there's something that everything does. Something to, we always, says it. Or at least, listen, wow, it's there's probably 5 or 6 days a week, and done so, it's okay. time off is probably okay, but there's other two more activities. That's something that got to. Our little mission of the business air fryer. Oh. Oh, that's something. Yeah.
I did one for instant follow-up.
So that's.
There's like a 5 goal, so you kind of go into 5 minutes and then 5 minute release and 5 works and colors and books and books.
That's something you do what? Maybe everybody on.
Yeah. Does your wife have one of those?
Keep you awake, right? Yeah.
Not. Anyway,
Or safety purpose of those being.
let's try and with another one.
Sorry, but she likes.
Stick the boat.
Sure.
Then it's the part you run on.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about change. That. I'm thinking it's You can't even read the off on the low one side on it anymore, it's like, and then a lot of, yeah.
We do a lot of stuff. Now I should have karaoke for us in your first little bit break now.
What time,
I get 6.
Okay. I like using the crock pot stuff this time of year, so you don't have to turn on the stove and get the house.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. I know we were talking about food, but we'll talk about Keats instead, so. I'm here.
Kind of regulated.
Anyway. So I'm here with Planning and Development's monthly staff report for you folks. And again, as we do, we'll start with Keats. Everything is going along okay there, you know, relatively on schedule with everything there. Community meeting, 7:00 p.m. Tuesday, August 26th at Keats Community Center. Thank you to Commissioner Foki for handing out flyers at their dinner a couple weeks ago. We're going to keep giving them more reminders and some letters in the mail with easement information. We're also sending information, simpler letters, but reminders out to adjacent folks as well, whoever wants to attend and get that update. Again, the intent is to have easement documentation, at least some might be available for folks to sign, but others will at least be kind of samples, if you will, for people to take a look at and know what they're dealing with, give them you know, let them know what we're doing, why it's needed. We'll have, you know, the boards with kind of the alignment and whatnot, just to get that information out to folks again, just to kind of keep in contact with them, keep, you know, making sure they're aware. Our consultants, BG consultants, of course, have been communicating with them out there, meeting folks on site. But we haven't been able to get everybody. So letters that we send go to every single mailbox in, you know, in address in the community. The email list I have doesn't include everybody. It's whoever wanted to give me their email. Not everybody did. So when we send letters, we send it to everybody. So at least we know for sure that they're getting that information. So, in terms of funding, we are just about done with the Kansas Water Office Technical Assistance Grant. We have a little bit more money that we'll spend through them, and then we'll move over to ARPA funding to finish out the engineering and design costs that we'll have to finish. And then, of course, once construction's underway, we have our KDHE grant and then the USDA funding. So everything is going along just fine with all of that. And everything's still on schedule at this point to start construction next spring. Do you guys have any questions about Keats? And are you hearing anything? Are you getting any? Other than probably Commissioner Foki?
I'm planning to pass out some more flyers door to door. But we should have time and people, so.
Yeah, I put a copy of the flyer in your packet, just so you can see it. And when, you know, people bring up the packet for themselves, they can see it as well. Just with this one and with so many things that planning and development does, is all about getting the word out there, making sure people are aware of these opportunities, to come again, engage with us, ask us questions, find out more, all of that. So anywhere I can plug that information in, and I know Commissioner Foki does it as well. That's what we're looking for. So. All right. So next item is our comprehensive plan update project. We had the community workshop up in Leonardville this past Tuesday night. I think there was about 30, somewhere in that neighborhood, 30. You think there was more? I know not everybody signed in the, the sign-in sheet, and Stan Tech needs to give me those. So, but I mean, it was pretty good turnout. So we were happy that a lot of people came out there. We had a couple of state representatives come attend the meeting. We had a lot of new faces. I will say that there was some people drawn there by, I guess there's going to be a feedlot going in kind of in that area. So they kind of put in, well, maybe this is a meeting to hear more about the feedlot, or at least talk to people about the feedlot. That's perfectly fine. We still welcome people coming to our meetings, asking the questions. Everybody was very respectful, had a lot of good conversations. And they did, they talked about the feedlot amongst each other and with staff, but then they still stuck around to hear about, the comprehensive plan and see what was going on. So it was, so even though they might have come out specifically for the feedlot, they still stayed around, gave some good input, heard some, good information. So it was definitely well attended. I'll have more information when I give you folks my monthly update on that in the next couple of weeks. Stan Tech will compile what they heard from folks, the sign-in sheet, all of that different sort of stuff, and I'll give you more of a in-depth report on that. But again, we were happy, that there was a good amount of folks there. Again, there were some newer faces that we haven't seen before. Always welcome the old faces, but when we get new faces, it's just nice to have more interest and more, input from a variety of people. So, and then my email list grows. So.
I was just gonna say, there's people from all over spots in the county.
Yeah.
Just the Leonardville area.
Yeah. Even though we were all the way up in Leonardville, there was people there from Zendale and from south of the county and from Manhattan and all around. So definitely, even though, again, we were kind of tucked up a little bit, more people still came out, which is great. I really appreciate that. So we'll have another community workshop in the fall at some point, probably October-ish, maybe into November. As the project goes along, again, we'll talk a lot more about that as we go, but there'll be another public outreach event. As there always is, there's always opportunity for people to give me input at any time, send me an email, come visit, give me a call. There's information on our website. So we're just going to keep plugging away on that. So let's see. I'm going to skip to our solid waste management committee. We had a booth at the fair again this year. This is 3 years in a row that we've been doing it. And I think we're getting a little bit better and better with our well-oiled machine here. We were put in a different location, a little bit more prime location this year. So that was kind of fun to be right across from one of the food trucks that had like the corn dogs and the nachos and the funnel cakes and the wonderful smells. So it was very convenient to go grab a drink or buy. Yeah, so. So it went really well. I am just extremely grateful to all of our volunteers who staffed the booth. It's always hot, but I feel like it was especially hot. At least the second half of the fair was, boy, it was a hot one. So we have our canopy and, we're as protected as we can be. And, we have our waters and stuff, but it was warm. But we did have a lot of, folks coming over, kids and adults alike, really like the can bale that Howie's lends us. If you folks remember, it's the cube of crushed cans. And we like to ask people how many they think are in the cube. Usually people are a lot lower. They think it's only a couple hundred, but it's about 700. It's just a really interesting visual, and people can touch it if they want, but just to see how teeny tiny they can crush things and make use of space. So the fish tank that Mike, I think he left, provided was another popular one, because what that does is show how how even just a tiny bit of pollution, in this case, it was food coloring in a big fish tank of water, how it can just spread so quickly and contaminate so quickly. And that's another popular one with kids and adults alike. So KDHE came through for us with a bunch more swag that we were really appreciative of, because again, that's another draw. So it just written really well, and we're appreciative that Extension lets us be there and gave us a prime spot, because yeah, it was good. So let's see. So in terms of battery recycling, the subcommittee is going to get going again. We have a few folks on our committee that we've been talking a little bit more again about, if you remember the stickers on trash totes, brochures, that kind of stuff. We've been trying to get this program off the ground for the last couple of years, honestly, and it just is going to take a lot of different people, because really the intention is to get those stickers out into the community, into the Riley County community, and get stickers on people's trash totes as a reminder. I'm going to toss my batteries in here. Oh, wait, that's right. I don't have to throw my batteries in the trash. I can take them to HHW, or I can, take them to Howie's or whatnot to recycle. They don't have to be thrown away. The intention is don't throw your batteries away, because it's a fire hazard, especially the lithium ion batteries. So there's ways to prepare the batteries. So when you do take them in for recycling, they're a little bit more safe for the folks who are going to process them and go through them. So we're really going to get that project going again. We have 4-H on board. We have the Boy Scouts on board. David Kreller, my chair, is working on connecting with some of the frats at K-State and other entities that need and want those community service projects, because that's really what it's all about. Again, it's getting this information out to the community. So hopefully a lot more to come on that, but I did want to mention that one because there's been a little bit more movement on that lately. So LEPP, our local environmental protection program grant, we got that finished up for state fiscal year 2025. We spent all the money. I gave them their final grant reports. All is good there. With the $50,000 that we were awarded from the state, we were able to help 3 property owners, 2 of which had full alternative system replacements, which, as you folks know, is not inexpensive. And then 1 had a partial, they just had to replace their lateral field. It was a standard, again, not inexpensive. So definitely what we were able to help folks with was impactful for them. So we were really glad to be able to do that. We were awarded funding for 2026, but they're working on concurrency and some background stuff at KDHE right now. So I don't have the funding yet, and I don't have the grant agreement and all of that. That should come in the next couple of months. So, but we will get more funding for that program. We already have a couple of property owners that we've identified that we're going to work with when we do get the second round of funding. They had applied during the last round of our 25 funding, but we prioritized a property owner that was experiencing surfacing sewage and got them taken care of, with the intent to keep these other 2 on our list, if you will, when we got our next round. So more to come on that, but right now there's a slight lull while we wait for KDHE to do what they need to do there. And let's see. All right, moving along to everybody's favorite topic, short-term rental regulations. Of course, we've been workshopping a lot of this with you folks this year, and has gone to both planning boards. I was going to bring, and if you remember, the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board especially had a lot of questions and suggestions, so I wanted to bring it back to our planning board and again, have those conversations before we can finalize some proposed draft language to bring back to you folks, or to do public hearing, then bring back to you folks. We had to table it. We had it on the July agenda for our planning board, but I only had 3 members there. And it's a big enough topic that, with input from that group, we wanted to wait until we had the full planning board available. So we'll have that next Monday evening. We have our Riley County Planning Board meeting. So we'll have that discussion with them with several other petitions and whatnot, but we'll have the STR discussion with them again on Monday night, just to get input from what we heard from the Manhattan Urban Area Planning Board. And then based on that discussion, we'll go back to the city's city county, but Manhattan Urban Area Board in September, and then have public hearings and then come back to you folks. So just wanted to give you an update on that. And I think that's about it. Do you folks have any questions?
People,
Yes.
there, are there any regulations in our existing comprehensive plan? We can't do anything about those, is that, I mean, that's what I've.
Right.
But I thought that's,
Yeah.
you know, feedlots are governed by KDHE, and
Right.
we don't have, you can't even say you can't have them here.
Right,
Exactly.
so the feedlot itself, yes, is governed by the state. So that's all the permitting, all the regulations and rules. We aren't involved in the base use. What we are involved in, if somebody wants to do a building or a structure or something like that, that's more than just the feedlot. That has to do with the feedlot, but more than just the feedlot, that would come through our office. So we did not learn about the feedlot any earlier than the folks who came to visit us on Tuesday did. So,
That's here.
okay, yeah.
I saw a letter on Tuesday from the group, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the laws.
Ah, yes.
It's, Union Road is basically a mile east and city of Wilmington. Yeah, that's what people, but also, and like I say, it's a state problem, and Brad Starnes is a mile west.
Okay, yeah.
That's right there.
Yeah, so maybe he'll get involved in
So,
that.
He might be able to help him. I mean, nothing on something else, but I know there's nothing. It says,
Right.
there's something that he can send letters, he had comments regarding things permit. In the county, you know, if that's something we want to do, to say, you know, I'm sure the city probably want to send something too, but like I say, it was. I don't know, I think it just came out that day or Tuesday or Wednesday, that people started receiving these letters. Yeah, that's. Yeah. Just put that in. Hey, I looked up, trying to chase me off to the ending search. I noticed, I mentioned that family. That. I can't remember which name is. Do the entity search going back through, but. Thank you. Working with Brad, Bacon, it's more south. Yes. Yeah, since, and that's very cool. And some of you consider that we pump the water out of the office. That's where Riley gets her water.
So we're gonna try to get in touch with folks at the state and then the applicant as well to make sure they're aware that if they're doing any structures, it comes through our office. So it's kind of a dual, approval process, if you will. Again, we don't have anything to do with the CAFO itself. We wouldn't, have any, any regulatory authority over that in terms of planning development. But again, any structures, they would have to come to us.
Are you with the state regulation as far as their location, proximity to population, I guess, and other things?
I'm not off my head. I can find that information. Happy to do that and send that to you folks, but I don't know off my head, honestly.
Second, that the owner is Falcon Land LLC. It's the name. That means exactly that any search. Hagler signed for, then it also gives that address and another one. It's the address is on Kimball Avenue, it's in one, I think that news foundation. It's not what's there, it's with the. Address. It also refers to another office. That up in yes. Yeah, I tried this.
Sure. Yeah, so we're trying to get some more information on it and I'll keep y'all
How long,
informed.
if they applied, how long, how long they get them?
The permit through the state?
Yeah.
That, again, I'd have to look into that. I'm not,
Like I said, I
not
get the
sure.
notes, that's what friends, we don't. The conference plan might say we don't want them there, but it doesn't matter. It's,
Yeah.
KDHE is equal to this, so they.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't prohibit them or zone them out or anything like that, so, yes.
No, I thought that was it, but that don't worry. Yeah. Yeah, the street from there, it's running in the east side. See it running. Yeah, I'm sure I would back it up.
Any other questions for me? My report? We'll see what more information we get on the feedlot and all, everybody.
Yeah, like I said, I just want to confirm what I've been saying is right.
Sure.
You know,
That's fair.
yeah, I can't communicate.
Yeah.
Stays more details.
Right, yes, yeah, that part's
Questions.
Yeah.
right.
I haven't had too many yet, and I've heard enough that I've been, in the.
Yeah.
Sure, people can hear, they're gonna
Yeah. We'll get some research going about the project and the permitting process and all that through the state. Keep you posted, because we still need to know from the applicants if they're putting up any kind of structures or what they're doing, and then what, making sure what that process will be, so. Lots more to come.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
And it's time, Mr. Hands.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just got a couple of things here for you this morning. First, let's start off with the KAC Legislative Policy Committee. I know I've talked to you guys plenty about that. One thing I do want to make sure you guys are all aware that the meetings for the Legislative Policy Committee are on August 27th and September 24th. I know Clancy in the past had, of course, encouraged you guys to attend those, and I would certainly echo that sentiment. I plan on also attending there myself. Of course, that'll be in Topeka. I'm not certain of the times, just the dates as it is right now, but I'm sure we'll get more information as those dates get closer. Moving on, at least to the substance of that policy committee meeting is, of course, we're supposed to submit what our legislative policy requests and what we considered by August 20th. That's our date. So just to kind of reiterate, the subjects that we do have currently are constitutional home rule, local ad valorem tax reduction, motor vehicle registration fees, short-term rental enforcement, interest costs on appraisal appeals. That's just kind of my brief way of describing Anna's issue. And then I also had another topic brought up by Barry, and which he could probably explain in more detail, but the concern and something we would like to address perhaps from his office legislatively is that we have a lot of local government units, not including Riley County or those within Riley County, that are taking individuals that are in certain crises, mental health or otherwise, and basically shipping them off here to have them have us use our resources to help those individuals out. And so Barry suggested there that maybe perhaps we have a way to either find these individuals or have them essentially pay for what their folks are putting on us to pay for. Barry, I'm sure Barry would have a lot more to say on that than I do, but I can, of course, ask for a little bit more detail if that's something you guys are interested in.
Yeah.
On the chamber for me that I attended, this is a very hot topic and links directly to homelessness in our community. Individuals are getting dropped off here by the end, or they're finding out that Manhattan is a good place to go. So, increased activity in private businesses and the very concerned because it's impacting them. And so it was rather robustly discussed meeting on Tuesday morning, and so much more so than another meeting. And it is a concern for sure. in the public, including with the organizations, Be Able and the Emergency Shield. I've had, I don't think those directors are concerned as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's gonna be before the law board too, because
Like I said,
it's part of that.
like people, they're doing a great job to help people, so. That's, but even I heard some,
We have some of the best social service networks. In
Yeah,
the state.
too.
but RCPD had stopped a car north of Randolph on Highway 77. And they were, writing a ticket or at least discussing it. And a Marshall County sheriff pulled up beside him and goes, what can we do? Says, well, we've got a homeless person we didn't have anything to do with, so we'll take it down. Can you go ahead and haul them down to Manhattan? We will go back.
They were from which county?
From Marshall.
Marshall, yeah, apparently some of the,
When they from, yes, and I just heard that this week too.
Yeah.
And I would stress that the way you would have to legislate this, of course, is it would be a restriction on any sort of local government from being able to do this. Any private individuals or companies or anything like that, obviously, there's nothing we can do on that. But as far as local government units, there can't be restrictions. And that may be worth exploring. So my plan is, commissioners, as far as these policy suggestions is allow, the department heads a couple more days to field me any additional topics. Otherwise, either Monday or likely Thursday next week, I'll come to you and say, hey, for approval of authorizing myself to go ahead and submit these to KAC is the plan.
I would take the end of the BTR off.
Take it off.
Yeah, there's no reason to discuss it, it's on.
That's fair. Let me make a note.
Get a consensus on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yep.
try.
They already eliminated it, so there's no reason to discuss it. I think
Put it back, but
Yeah.
yeah, somewhere. There it is.
Okay. All right, got a note for that. And then, like I said, I'll come on Thursday next week and we'll do an official authorization for me to submit this to KAC. One other thing of note to move on before we move on to the position request, is I just wanted to provide an update on, of course, our tax sale. We're at least coming towards the end of having that be complete. We're anticipating everything should be complete by the end of August, ideally. And we were able to recover about $51,634 and 26 cents is what it came out. Which pretty much recovered all of our property taxes, practically. The majority of the remainder, if you ever looked at the pleadings, and there's quite a lot more left out, but all of that is for the most part special assessments. And so we get our property taxes first as priority. So we were definitely successful in going through and getting that done. And it's time well spent. So with that, I will move to, unless you guys have any questions on either of those two topics. Okay. I will move on to our position requests. As I'm sure you guys were very aware that this was coming. Give me just a minute here to scroll down to it. We'll get there eventually. Here we go. So of course, here's the background. I'm sure I'm not going to repeat everything that's written in it. One thing I would like to say is that the most important, I suppose, is that my office has taken the approach of filling this position is that we want to really focus on fit. We want to make sure that whoever we do pick is great organizationally for everyone here in Riley County. And so that's going to be our priority. We're going to take a lot of time to make sure that that's the case. We have our supplemental counsel that's going to be helping us throughout this. So I think we're in a good position to make sure that we get somebody who makes sense. One thing you'll note too is that, you know, traditionally, and even when I held the position, it was a deputy position. We're asking that it be switched back actually to assistant because it was assistant for the longest time, and then switched to deputy. I think that purpose was necessarily that with Craig and Clancy, they were professionally on a very similar level and operating fairly independent from each other. I don't know if that's going to be the case here moving forward, but we would at least like to start with an assistant, and then if it makes sense to move to a deputy at a later date, we can do so. There was also discussion, if you remember, prior to my hiring, that usually what occurred with the deputy position was also a certain stipend to attend board meetings and things of that nature, and that was removed just because it just didn't make sense with the position anymore. So the change in title just is to kind of align with the expectations of what this position would be. And so I would just, of course, ask the board to open the assistant county counselor position and allow us to move forward with the hiring process.
I went through this quite a bit, you know, and discussed a few things, but still Jacob about it.
Make a motion to approve the requisition to open the assistant county counselor position and follow the timeline outlined above.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve requisition to open the assistant county council position and follow the timeline outline. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners, and I do not have anything further as far as this administrative session goes, but I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
He had more. You mentioned he had talked about.
Oh, Barry, did you have anything you wanted to add on your legislative discussion or suggestion as far as that goes?
I just, I just kind of started to look into it after the other day and became aware of it. You know, I know that Salinas has some of the same issues apparently.
Yeah.
With, I don't want to be humane, but with transient dumping, I mean, and that's, and apparently, there's counties that have brought people here and brought them off. So I do think it's something that's, hospitals can't do it. Right. And so other jurisdictions, should be able to bring people here because they don't want to deal with somebody who is unruly, needs services or whatever, and expect our taxpayers and they can take on those burdens. So I think it's worth looking at something where we, say they bring somebody here, at least we can bill them. But I think first we gotta discourage it.
Yeah, how do we do that? You got suggestions on how we discourage them?
Make it where they have to compensate us, a republic, but no life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And I just think you have to look at legislation that would make it unlawful.
Yeah.
Simply for another county to start bringing other people that whether it be, Clay County, Washington County, Walnut County, whatever the case may be, to transport the people down there that are homeless in their county to just sleep. So, if that's legislation that says it's illegal for one county to, put their problems on another county, then I think that, there ought to be something that would address it. So,
That's something we can certainly work on.
yeah,
I think we can come up with something.
I mean, after the issues, and then again, yesterday, apparently, there was somebody that, just walked in the buffet line over at the convention center.
Convention centers are a huge problem.
I think that whole area of town is having an issue, and I don't want to discourage other people from coming, but it's a situation where, it's one of the individuals has seen people drop off in that area of town, so.
All right. Well, we'll have it down, and like I said, on Thursday next week, we'll make it official, and then I'll draft all the paperwork and send it off to KAC.
Take a second to read the minutes.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes as written from the August 4th meeting, 11.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the August 4th meeting as presented, and all in favor.
Aye.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks, Jim. Just government. 10:35.
Yes, he wants to head. It's not quite time. He says. So. Well, yeah. Okay, wrong, 1 minute here. 1 minute.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jessie Hubbard with Riley County Community Corrections Administrative Assistant. I'm here today to present to you with our Adult Services and Juvenile Services request for funding from the City of Manhattan Special Alcohol Fund. We have requested funding from this fund since 2011. For adult services, it pays for our drug testing supplies, drug testing services, drug and alcohol evaluations, as well as transportation to and from inpatient treatment. And last year or the year before, I believe, we actually started using it for training dollars as well. The same thing is we utilize it for the same purposes for juvenile services, except for the inpatient treatment. We generally don't have that much for youth, thank goodness. It's there if we need it though. We requested last year, or we received last year, 22,780 for adult services, and we're requesting a little bit higher this year for 27,250. For juvenile services, last year we requested 5,750, and we're requesting a little bit lower this year, 4,875, as we did return some funds that we didn't utilize, and we don't think we're going to need that much. So I have both applications before you today, just to make sure that they're okay and that we have permission to submit them.
To 26 adult services special alcohol grant submission to the City of Manhattan for funding consideration.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the 2026 Adult Services Special Alcohol Grant for submission to the City of Manhattan for funding. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, good.
There's a reading. Somewhere.
Should be by the line.
That whole bunch of stuff.
It's a separate.
There it is. Page 72.
Oh, there.
I would make a motion to approve the 2026 Juvenile Services Special Alcohol Grant for submission to the City of Manhattan for funding consideration.
I'll say.
Been moved and seconded to approve the 2026 Juvenile Services Special Alcohol Grant for submission to the City of Manhattan for funding. All in favor?
Thank you, Commissioners.
I make a motion to adjourn the August meeting 11 commission.
And second that.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn the August 7th meeting for County Commission. All in favor?
Good weekend.
Yes.
Say it's fine with that.
Oh, yeah.